Listener discretion is advised. The RPGeek Podcast is made by three friends with varying opinions, political, and religious beliefs. Nothing these three say should be taken as an attack on anyone or anything in particular. In addition, we like to say naughty words and make jokes that may come off as offensive to some people. Please enjoy. Welcome to the RPGeek Podcast. I am your host, Dave, and once again, I'm joined by my buddy, Ryan. Jordan is unavailable, so it'll just be the two of us today. And today, we are going to do what I like to call the April Roundout. The month of April has been crazy.
There's been a lot in the gaming industry.
Entertainment in general has just been nuts, but mainly gaming. You know, today we're going to cover the Switch 2, we're going to cover some Bethesda, we're going to cover Claire Obscura, and a little bit, just to kind of get it out of the way, we're going to talk about VTuber Hell Week towards the end of April there. And basically what that is there are three graduations. So in VTuber culture, because you're unfamiliar with it, when a VTuber stops being that character, either they're moving on from a company or they're just done. They've done their time and they've moved on. It's called a graduation. It's a term from idol culture, from like Japanese idols and Korean idols and things like that, where either they get too old or something, where they just stop doing the idol performances. And the VTuber industry, when it started out early pandemic, really adopted the Japanese idol culture for a while, and we've since kind of started to see that go away with like indie VTubers and things like that. But there's still, Hololive is one of the biggest VTuber companies, and they still adopt that idol culture. So there were three graduations from them. One was from their second generation, who was there for 7 years, and then two were from the English side of it. Gargura was who is graduating on May 1st or who had graduated May 1st by the time this episode comes out. She was the biggest VTuber in the world.
Oh wow. Just
right off the bat. From the moment she debuted, she surpassed everybody, including veterans in the field. Oh wow. And she was very funny, great character, but clearly there was a toll on being the number one.
Yeah, of course.
You're standing on, and she just eclipsed everybody. Like, it wasn't even close for a while. I think at the time of her graduation, she was upwards of almost 5 million subscribers on YouTube. Like, huge.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And then the other one from Hololive English, Nanashi Mume, she was from the second generation of them. And so Gura was about 5 years, Mume was about 3.
Now, you mentioned the generations. Is there like a lot of generations? Is there...
if you go from like the beginning with like the Japanese and the integrating with the Indonesian and the English, there are quite a few. Typically they'll debut new ones at about 4 or 5 at a time.
Okay.
The Indonesians is always 3 for some reason. I'm not sure if it's just a smaller branch or what. English has been 5 up until their most recent one, which was 4. And these girls are absolutely hilarious. They're natural born entertainers. A lot of them voice actors, or extremely talented singers. Okay. Most of the time, if I'm listening to music and it's not something somebody else is playing, a lot of times it's VTuber music, just because it's very relaxing. Gotcha. They're very talented individuals. But yeah, so the second generation of Hololive with Murasaki Shion, that was over 7 years ago.
Oh, right.
So there's, if I had to guess off the top of my head without counting, there's probably, in total, amongst all branches for Hololive specifically, there's probably 16 or 17 somewhere between 12 and 16 generations.
Okay.
It's quite a few.
So is there anybody left from the first generation?
Yes, actually, the very first Hololive VTuber, her name is Sora.
Gotcha.
I feel bad now because I can't remember her full name.
Gotcha.
But she's known as Sora. She is still around. She's been around since the very beginning. She was the first one in, and at this point I'm pretty sure she's gonna be the last one out. she's very, very funny, very, she's from the Japanese side, very funny, very talented, and she actually has what's called I think it's like the 13 Knights of the Knights of the Round Table or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
And what that is when she first debuted, there were like 13 fans of hers.
Oh, okay.
That she would stream to. She would just stream to like 13 people, and now she's upwards of over 1 million, several million people following her. But these 13 were the original, and they've been there ever since. And so it's like there's lore upon lore with but like real world stuff. Like it's not just their made up characters. It's really cool.
That's neat.
And I'm not super big into like Japanese idol culture. I mean, I would go to one of those shows just to witness everything, because the crowd gets super into it with like the light sticks and the dances and stuff like that. And I follow a bunch of people who are super into it, and that fascinates me. And it's just one of those things where it's like either to be a fly on the wall or to just sit there and look and watch all of these things and just sit down and have a conversation with one of these people who is really into it. Like, even if like half of it is in Greek or whatever to me, like I would just sit there and I'd be like, okay, yeah, no, tell me more. Like I'm at the age where documentaries are like the highest form of entertainment.
Yeah, I do get fascinated by people that get super excited about things.
Well, it's the thing is like people's hobbies are fascinating. So, and when they're really into it, like it's incredible.
Yeah.
So
one of my very dear friends, he had a lot of time to kill while he was in when he was on ship in the military and all that stuff. So he decided to dive into 40K.
Oh, and
by the time he got out a few years later, what I know about 40K and what this man knows about 40K, I am the Earth in comparison to this galaxy that he knows. Like, it is insane.
Oh, and that's such a deep universe. Dude.
Oh yeah,
it's so good. I love 40K. I do. I love the Imperium. I love the Eldar. I love all that. Right. Yeah. It is the one universe out of everything that I know that I would never want to be a part of. Like I'd rather be in Bloodborne.
Like one of the Warhammer generations where it was like they made games on it like Vermintide and all that stuff. When it was outside of 40K, it was a lot of like ogres and different things. Like I remember he was over my house when they ended that line, like they officially ended it, and he was telling me, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. But then he was just going on about how they ended it and like going generations back. I was like, dude, I played Vermintide, that's cool.
Like it's like, man, Space Marine looks awesome.
And
it cool. is Space Marine 2 is
so I've heard
incredible.
I heard that one and Rogue Trader were really good.
Rogue Trader's fantastic. And they're adding a whole nother expansion to Rogue Trader.
Oh, nice.
And the previous one gave you a class that is so overpowered. The game's easy mode if you pick that class. It's awesome. But going back to the Vtubers and the Hell Week, another Vtuber is parting ways with her company, or has parted ways with the company. This one I'm not entirely sure about how it's I believe the company has made the decision to part ways with her.
Oh, okay.
But it's a unique case with this particular company. So the company in question is VShojo, and the VTuber is known as Matara Khan. Not going into her past, everyone. Even though it's VTuber fans know who she was.
Gotcha.
Previously, but in VTuber culture, when you're in like the corpo verse of VTubing, specifically with things like HoloLive, and there's another one known as Niji Sanji. When you graduate, you are no longer that character.
Oh,
so
okay.
when you come back as somebody else, or if you come back as somebody else, you have no ties to that character.
Gotcha.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
But it's an unspoken thing. Well, it's supposed to be an unspoken thing, and people speak about it all the time, where it's like, yes, we know who you used to be. We're not going to say anything. We're not going to bring it up.
As weird of a comparison as this sounds, like This reminds me of like the days when I used to watch wrestling. And like wrestlers would change gimmicks.
Yeah.
And it's like, you of course know it's them, but like it goes unspoken at the same time, like, and you don't speak about their old gimmick, but it's just like, okay.
Well, it's like Hulk Hogan when he turned into like Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
Like,
and then,
that's the thing. It's like, it's exactly the same person.
Like, and then you had stunning Steve Austin, who was this posh, proper, Steve Austin. Then he goes to Stone Cold, and you're like, all right, this is what I wanted, actually.
Yeah. So it's similar to that, but it's a bit more extreme.
Yeah.
In most cases.
Gotcha.
There have been some cases, I've noticed it particularly among the Japanese VTubers.
Gotcha.
Where they will get the same artist that designed their original character, and they'll look almost identical. Like a distant cousin.
So do the companies hold the rights to the characters?
A lot of times, yes.
Okay.
Which is what makes the VShojo situation so interesting, is that VShojo is basically, it's a company that manages all of the marketing, the brands and sponsor dealership.
Okay.
Sponsorships. I don't know why I said dealerships. They're selling cars. Well, I mean, you actually, a lot of times you'll see VTubers on the side of cars. There's one in town actually, which is hilarious. Yeah. But they have the sponsorships, and one of the things that makes VShojo unique is anybody who joins VShojo owns that character.
Oh, okay.
So Matara Khan is still Matara Khan, but she's no longer Matara Khan of VShojo. Okay. And this has happened previously with VShojo, when it's kind of one of those things where they, it kind of elevates them above a lot of other companies, at least in people's eyes, where it's just like, you own the character. You are that person.
Gotcha. Now, when a lot of these VTubers that get big in their name end up leaving a company, and then because they're, let's just say, subscriber count got crazy. Mm-hmm. I take it most VTubers can look at that and be like, I can make a lot more money in my own sponsorships and my own, partnerships versus, a company taking a cut of it.
I think that has to do with it a lot. With certain things, I do the VTubing thing as kind of a hobby, and because I don't like having my face up there. That's kind of, it's just a personal decision, right? I don't take it super seriously. That being said, if I were to join a VTuber agency, I would be down to do that.
But at that point, though, if you're with a company,
I wouldn't be Hollowed Volpine. I'd be whatever character they put me at.
But if you get to a point where your subscribers are super huge, but you decide to leave that company because your following's really big, essentially you would have to start over, though. Right?
You essentially do, but don't ever underestimate the autism of people on the internet.
This is true.
Like, you have that guy who can discern the exact pinpointed location. I forget what his name is. If you just show him a blue sky, that dude, Rain something. That dude is awesome. Yeah. Like, if I'm ever lost, send him after me. Right? Like, that's awesome. But so it's kind of it's a two-way street. Gotcha. Really, because you are starting over. Gotcha. However, once your fans find you, a vast majority of them who were fans of you will come flocking in. Yeah. And then you'll get new fans. Yeah. Because sometimes they prefer the new design. Or sometimes but then you have, on the flip side, you have some fans who are like, no. This was the character that I liked. I don't care who played this character. Gotcha. But this design was what I liked, and they will not come over. But I mean, it's like that with everything. Look at Spider-Man. You have people have Tobey Maguire all the way, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland, and it's like, that's the thing. It's like, Tobey Maguire is, I think, everybody's favorite. But I'm biased. Yeah. But so she has split ways with VShojo, or VShojo has split ways with her, so she's going to continue on her own. Gotcha. And then this one, I especially want your opinion on. This is the last thing on VTubers. Okay. So this one's fucked up. An indie VTuber, so somebody not tied to a corporation, has come out via the artist that they had commissioned multiple times, that the VTuber Cinder and her manager, who goes by the name Redacted, not only are they dating, but the two of them joined efforts to step on her friends, quote in quotations, necks in order to get ahead of everybody else in the indie VTubing scene. So what I mean by this is basically Cinder and Redacted went to this artist and basically said, you work for us. You need to cancel everybody else's commissions that you're doing, and we'll pay you to do that, but you can't work for this person. You can't work for that. And it was at least three people. It was three major VTubers, but it was probably more. And on top of that, the apology that came out from Cinder is this Google Doc. It's like 8 pages of, I didn't realize that it was basically shifting all the blame to her boyfriend. And it was like, I didn't do anything wrong. I hope we can move on by this. I'm sorry that these actions have affected you. Blah, blah, blah. It just typical. Like, it would have been better if she did an apology video while playing a ukulele. Like, it was bad. But it's just like the stepping on. So I can't get behind the stepping on somebody's neck.
No,
like,
it reminds me of a particular late night comedian.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. Fuck you. I don't care. I'll never go on your show. Yeah. It's scummy. If you try and be friends with somebody, you don't step on their neck to get ahead.
No.
And I understand business partnerships and things like that.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes
you have to separate.
That happens. But you don't do it at the cost of a friend. You don't pretend to be friends with somebody and then
gaslighting.
And then at the same time that you're pretending to be friends with them, consciously making an effort to undermine and work against them. That's like the most evil. Like, don't get me wrong, it is a plot for a fantastic villain. Like, I would write this character into like a D&D campaign or a story or something like that. However, in real life, it is scummy.
I mean, it really is when you're stepping on people to get ahead, in the sense that, like, you're but the thing is the world has a way of shifting, and just completely the empire will come crumbling down.
Oh, the empire is crumbling down very quickly.
Yeah.
Everyone has come out on Twitter and has just been shitting
so
on
that
girl.
cinder became a fire real quick.
Well, I was given I was seeing a meme of Futurama where Professor Farnsworth is on the phone, and it was, to cinders you say, oh my. It's like so it was so funny, but it's like the memes that are going to come out of this are hilarious.
Yeah.
And unfortunately people had to get hurt in order for this to happen, and it's not a physical hurt, obviously, but it is it's a trust thing.
But the one thing about these other VTubers that were involved, it'll bring a lot more support back to them, hopefully.
And that's the thing, is they were already very big. A few of them were they're very outspoken. The thing that I'm not sure about at this point is, and I don't think anybody knows, but maybe by the time this episode comes out, we'll have a better idea, is because she's a co-owner of GamerSups, and is,
I thought I heard this name before.
Yeah, so she's a co-owner of GamerSups. She's also a co-owner of VCard, the hilariously named VTuber trading card game, which are all sold out everywhere. I tried to get them and I could not. It lasted for like 5 minutes. But yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen with those deals anymore, because even several of the other co-owners of those things just came out and were like, no, fuck you. Like,
yeah,
real bad.
I watch another co-owner of GamerSups, Smitty.
Yeah.
And instead of him trying to step on his friends' necks, his friends try to step on his neck in the most hilarious ways in games.
Yeah.
And completely metaphoric, but
yeah,
they always try to just screw each other over in every game they play. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, that's a game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the game of life. But yeah, so the VTuber situation's crazy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was the most insane one. I feel like there was another one, but I can't remember what it was. Let me see. Oh, yes, there is one more. Just to kind of round it out with a nicer thing. And the Hololive Japan will be playing. They have a full team set up. They're going to be playing Final Fantasy 14 with some big event.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I mean that's cool. Just playing the MMO. They're making a whole big thing out of it, which is fine with me. It's like I love that game. So
yeah,
let's move on from VTubers and let's talk about something else that's kind of divisive. Because surprisingly, the Bethesda news is the good news, right? This time around. But let's talk about the Switch 2. So Nintendo talked about the Switch 2. It looked really good, and then the prices came out.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the Switch 2? You know, or do you need like a refresher or anything?
I mean, the Switch 2, to me, I don't know. For me, it just... I hope it doesn't happen. Like, I don't think it's a bad Nintendo move, but it is definitely one of their weaker points that they've had in the last, 10 years.
Between the price at around 500, that's what I expected, right? For the system itself.
The scarcity,
some people are blaming it on the tariffs. I don't know about that. I don't believe that for a second.
I don't believe it for a second because Microsoft had this same thing happen when they released the Xbox One.
Yeah.
There was nothing for it. And that had nothing to do with any of this. So it's just like, I don't think it would be tariff based or anything politically based. I think it's just the fact that they made a newer generation system, and Nintendo is known for all of their kind of just classic older generation games. I mean, on top of that, it's like Nintendo is known for creating a false sense of demand. That is true.
With their games where they will only release X amount of product and then wait for that to sell through and then release X amount of more product and until they reach what they consider to be a profit.
Yeah.
And then it becomes easier to find it.
Yeah.
Which, it's a great business move for a lot of things.
It's just not a great consumer if you're on the other side.
It's not consumer friendly at all.
No.
And the fact that the system is region locked in this day and age is absolutely insane. There is a non-region locked version.
Oh, like an unlocked version?
There is an unlocked version that you can only get in Japan.
Oh.
And it is the more expensive version.
And then trying to get that over in the West, it's going to double in price.
Yeah, it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
The other big thing is the price of games. $80 for brand new games. I haven't agreed with $70. I've paid it, for certain games, but I don't buy games as often as I used to, and I tend to buy in early access now where they're cheaper.
And that's the lovely thing that I will say about, to anyone that wants to put console up against PC, take the graphics, take everything out of it.
Yeah.
The gaming stores that you can find on the PC and the amount of sales that happen in its frequency will save you so much more money in the long run than a console would.
Well, it's like a perfect example of that is if you're into Star Wars and you want to play a bunch of Star Wars games, Steam is having a May the 4th sale.
Yeah.
And you could buy they call it the entire Star Wars collection. There's a few games that are omitted from it. But it's about $120 and you get 35 plus games.
Yeah, and what was it? I think it was 2021 for me, 2022, somewhere around there. I decided, hey, I need to save money, so I'm going to invest money in myself in a stupid way. I've told you about this before. But I bought every single Assassin's Creed game from the first one all the way to, at the time, it was Odyssey.
Yep.
And I got all of those games for $100. And it's just and then I set up a goal that every time I beat one, I can get a little collectible for it. But it saved me money, so I wasn't spending a bunch of money. It kept me in my house kind of doing that thing.
Yeah.
But it's just to get, I think it was 12 or 14 games at the time for like $100.
Yeah.
And one of them was considered almost brand new at the time.
Yeah.
It's like I could never walk into like a game shop and get 14 games for under $100.
No.
I mean, in all with that like range from 2007, but all that range up to like 2019.
Yeah, the only way you're doing this is if you're buying like shovelware.
Yeah.
And granted, there's a lot of shovelware on Steam and GOG and all that, but the amount of sales for really good games is insane.
Yeah, no, and I think it actually ends up saving money in the long run.
I do too. I think it's a barrier to entry at first that once you overcome it and you have your PC or whatever, which you don't even need like the top of the line PC. You can buy a gaming laptop and play most things.
Oh yeah.
But
going back to the prices of games, I know I think I shared my concern with you like a month ago with this $80 game thing.
Yeah.
Saying that like we just jumped to a $70 base rate of a game. The first time in over 30 years that our base rate has changed in gaming, and now we're going straight to 80.
Yeah.
And it's like, but Nintendo, to your point, has a great business model in false sense of alarm.
Mm-hmm.
And I really fear that with their sales with this, that's going to push our base games, AAA games, to $80. And at that point, I'm no longer just going to buy a single one.
And that's the thing. It's like there's a few deciding factors with this. Is number one, you have the quality of Nintendo games. Your Zeldas, your Marios, things like that, which are typically polished to the point where if there's problems with them, you're still having a blast while playing through them. Like Breath of the Wild on the original Switch was insanely over. The game itself required too much power for the console.
Gotcha.
But you were having a good time with it while you were playing it. People absolutely loved Mario Odyssey. Mario Kart 8 has been out for I think 8 years and has a million. People are still playing that.
Yeah,
right. You could pop online right now and you'd be in a match quicker than you get into one in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Is like, on one hand,
there's longevity.
On one hand, well, not only that, but on one hand, the quality from Nintendo is really high, and they know it. And I think that the fact that they know it is why they feel that they can charge this. And clearly they're right, because the Switch sold out in minutes. However, and not to pick on Call of Duty here, but if Activision and Blizzard charged for the next Call of Duty $80, I wouldn't buy. I don't buy Call of Duty much to begin with.
They just charged $70 for the new, what was it, Modern Warfare, the third one?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool, you get Modern Warfare 3, which was just an extension of all these other games, and you got to play Modern Warfare 3, like, Warzone stuff. And it's like, what was the point of this? So, the fact that Activision Blizzard, I think funny you mentioned them, I think they started this whole thing with Diablo 4.
Between them and EA, like I don't remember exactly where it started.
Pretty sure at least for my memory recalls, Diablo 4 was the first like 70 base game that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And Diablo 4 I heard was just a pretty mid Diablo. Like I've heard good things, I've heard bad things, I've heard in between things. A lot of paywalls again with Diablo 4, which was horrible because they just took their creative abilities from Immortals paywall and then just shoved it in Diablo 4.
Look, I don't mind if you have a paywall in your game. Very controversial statement. If you have, actually that's not true. Your game needs to be beatable from start to finish if I purchase it, whether I purchase it or not.
Yeah.
It needs to be beatable from start to finish. However, if you have options to speed up that process via paying, that basically you're paying to play less game. MMOs do this.
Yeah.
WoW does it where you pay and you get like a max level character.
I don't want to talk about how many bonds I bought on RuneScape.
RuneScape does it. Basically when you're paying to play less game, that's on you.
Yeah.
But the game itself should be playable and beatable from start to finish.
And also it should be within reason, because like, let's say you have a 100-hour game and a paywall takes you down to 50 hours. Okay. All right. It cuts time in half, whatever. But if you have like a 300-hour game and you can beat it in 30 hours because you made this purchase, it's like it literally is just like you pay to win at that point. Like
and that's where this all started. This all started with, and this actually all started with the game that we're going to be rounding off. One of the games that we're going to be rounding off with. Yeah. Because I think look, with Nintendo, people. I also think that the video game. I think that the video games journalism has a lot to play in this. Oh, especially 100%. The people who are like, Rockstar should charge $100 for Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm telling you right now, and it's not going to matter in the long run because the game's going to sell no matter what. But if GTA 6 is $100, I'm never buying it.
Yeah,
I don't care if it goes down to $20. 10 years down the road, I'm never purchasing Grand Theft Auto 6 if it comes out at $100.
Well, they've pushed so hard on the journalism side of that. They pushed so hard on the fact that this is the highest budgeted game of all time so far.
I don't care.
I know, but that's the way they're pushing it. So I feel like that's what they're prepping people for.
That's the thing. It's like they are preparing people for this.
Yeah.
And it started with the switch from 60 to 70. Which people are like, well, money's worth less now.
Yeah.
True. But the reason why games were $60 back in the day was because of disc or cartridge distribution.
Yeah.
You had to physically you made the cartridge. You made or bought the cartridge if you weren't the company that made it, or the disc. You made the marketing. You made the box that it came in, the instruction manual. If it came with goodies, you made those. So that's why games cost as much as they did. Since the 360 era of gaming, where you can purchase, where you're just basically not even purchasing a game anymore, you are licensing a game.
Yeah.
We haven't owned our games in forever, whether physical copy or not. We haven't owned them in forever.
Yeah.
You are licensing this game, but you have the ability to get it digitally.
Yep.
There's no reason that a digital game should cost even $60.
100%. It was funny that you mentioned that, because I had this kind of remark in my head that I wish companies, my electric company does it, go paperless and I save $5.
Yeah.
And it's just with the digital copies of games, honestly too, I know a lot of people like yourself, collectors, that will have physical copies of a game that they already own, just to have it in their collection.
Of course.
But if you're willing to quote unquote go paperless, bring that down from 70 to 65, or something like that, and make it worth the people to, I'm not going to save the environment kind of thing. But at the same time, it incentivizes people to not, you don't have a physical product being produced where you have to pay the extra $5 or whatever the hell it is. Because I get there's a lot of money that goes behind R&D and labor and time, and the bigger the companies you get, the more money they spend, blah 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 blah. But at the same time, if you're not physically producing a product, you're generating a key that unlocks the licensing to a game.
Correct.
It shouldn't have to be the same exact price that if I drove down to a GameStop.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous because it's not a manufactured product at that point.
Exactly. And I think that brings us even more so than the previous one to round it off to a game that, if I was wearing a hat right now, I'd take my hat off to Oblivion Remastered.
Yes.
The Bethesda came out, and it was a game that we kind of knew about because of leaks.
There's some leaks here and there,
but there was enough to be like, okay, maybe, sure.
Yeah.
But the leak came out so early, and things were announced and that weren't that. Whereas it was enough where it's like, okay, yeah, it's like Twilight Princess on the Switch, totally.
Yeah.
Not happening, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then suddenly it did happen, and not only did it happen, when they did officially announce it, they released it that same day.
Yeah.
And they released it at $50.
Yep.
For the full game.
Yep.
Just brand new coat of paint. Absolutely gorgeous. I've been playing it.
Yep.
It has become, outside of work, it has become my happy place. It's hats off to the company that started microtransactions with their goddamn horse armor.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the $60 version of the game, $10 extra, gets you extra stuff that didn't exist in the original game and more horse armor. Those motherfuckers got you to pay for horse armor again.
Definitely rounding off on a great topic with Oblivion, because I feel like, I made this comment before. There's a lot of comments out there. We've talked about it on this podcast before that Oblivion Remaster needs to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't think for a second it would.
No. And, I saw, of course, there's a lot of things running around social media with it right now. And one of my favorites so far was, Bethesda made a game 19 years ago that it kind of gets leaked that it's being made, has no advertising, and sets records.
It did. It flatlined everything except for the other game that we're going to talk about a bit later. If it just flatlined everything. And they changed nothing. Yeah. They changed the graphics and they added certain things to it. And the best part about this, that some players and listeners may not have realized if you've been playing the game, is this is the version 0.4 of the game. This is not even 1.0.
Yeah.
Meaning that they are taking player feedback and they are planning on expanding the game. They just had a major update for it. And they're going to continue to do so. Meaning that even though all they added to the game was the sprint button, if enough players ask for it, they could add survival mode, which they had in Skyrim. They might be able to add Creation Club.
Which they ended up putting in Fallout 4 later.
Yeah, they might be able to add Creation Club, which I know is divisive for some people, but it is one of the features that has come to be known with Bethesda titles. They may add some Skyrim skills.
The direct in-game mod menu would be awesome.
A direct in-game mod menu might be great. 4. More quest lines could be added if players wanted that. So the sky's the limit. Honestly, for me, if they added smithing, if they added smithing perks, and there was one other thing that I wanted. I was talking to somebody about this. Was it smithing perks? If they added an enchanting skill.
Okay.
And
enchanting was so fun.
So enchanting does exist in Oblivion. It's just not a skill.
Yeah, no, it existed, I believe, in Skyrim as a skill.
It was a skill in Skyrim.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, Skyrim has another skill. Dual wielding.
Dual wielding.
Yeah. So if they just bring those 4 things, I'm happy. I don't care what else they do, right? I'm already happy with the game. That would just make me even more happy.
Now, I will mention that sky's the limit. Take my hat off for the company, because we both know that, we didn't think that, the remaster of Oblivion was coming out, but there was something we knew that was coming out.
Yes. You talk about Skyblivion.
Skyblivion. Yes. And Skyblivion, for anybody that doesn't know, is a set of modders, a team of modders that are basically taking Oblivion. They're not remastering it, but they're basically injecting it into the world of Skyrim and building Oblivion around the Skyrim base.
Yes.
So that Oblivion plays like Skyrim.
And one of the coolest things that Bethesda did with this was, not only are they not shutting down Skyblivion, they're actively encouraging it. Yes. And they have given every modder who is working on Skyblivion a free code to play and own Oblivion Remastered.
Yeah.
It is the biggest, that is how you treat your fan base.
Yes.
And
I will say Bethesda, besides a part of the Creation Club, which they tried, but Bethesda's always pretty much been good to their modding community.
They've been very, very good. And even with Oblivion Remastered, a lot of times it was thrown out that because Oblivion Remastered's graphical improvements are through Unreal Engine 5.
Yep.
Basically, they took the Creation Engine and they merged it with Unreal 5. We've talked about this previously. Overlaying the graphical capabilities that Unreal 5 could have.
Which, not to interrupt you, it seems to be very good for Unreal 5's optimization.
So there's that. It is surprisingly decent. It merging Unreal 5 and Creation Club, 2 very broken things that come together. Who knows? It's actually incredible how well it works, and I kind of hope that they do it for Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah,
because if you haven't played it, Oblivion Remastered is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, we know I haven't.
I know you haven't played it.
I have, and
for those at home,
fans that don't know, I haven't upgraded my computer in like 6-7 years, and then now it's coming back to bite me.
But that's the thing, is you got a solid 6-7 years out of it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can still play 99 out of the top 100 games. I can still technically play the remaster. I meet all the minimum requirements.
Yeah.
But it got updated so that I can play it as a remaster and not just go play the 2006 version.
Yes.
So
yeah, exactly. And if just in case you're concerned, it is still just as broken, but it's endearing. Like,
yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing with Bethesda glitches and bugs and things like that, is like they are features. Like if Bethesda came out with a perfect 100% like Nintendo polished game, I don't think we would like it. I actually think that we'd be like, but where's the funny glitches? Where's the stupid random dialogue? Like, what's going on?
It would be funny if there was like an Easter egg skill that if a glitch happened, is at glitch level to like level 50.
I mean, that would be funny.
Yeah.
Granted, that would max out in the first 5 minutes of any of these games. Like in Oblivion Remastered, you just walk into the marketplace in the Imperial City and you just max it out immediately because of the conversations that you hear. And like the uncanny valley, just like, hello, hey there. Like just like regular weird kind of, did you hear about this? No, that's incredible. Like it, and the best part is Oblivion, they actually kept in a bunch of bad takes.
Yeah.
Those are still in Oblivion Remastered. There's an entire conversation you can have with somebody, and she'll be like, at the end of the conversation, you'll hear, wait, let me do that line again. And then she'll repeat the line. It's incredible. It's so endearing. I love that.
I think if Bethesda actually tapped into the fan lore of the love for the bugs and glitches and did things like that, like redo the line and all that stuff, especially in like a Fallout game where there's a lot of comedy running around in it, it'd be hilarious.
And that's the thing, is like with Oblivion Remastered, I want Fallout 3 Remastered. I want New Vegas Remastered.
A New Vegas Remaster would be incredible.
I just do the exact same thing. Granted, with New Vegas, you do have to change one thing because there is a game-breaking bug in the New Vegas code that needed to be modeled out. Otherwise, the game will crash every time you play it. Basically, the game is, was it 32-bit? But it's supposed to be 60. But it's supposed to be 64, and it was just a coding error. And you could fix that with mods. You don't have that problem with Fallout 3, but for whatever reason, New Vegas has that issue.
Gotcha.
Where it'll go, and then it'll run out of RAM, and the game will crash.
But on the premise of like everything that they've done since Oblivion Remastered dropped, they essentially just like mic dropped the gaming world. They just came out, they dropped it, and they went. I saw this meme of Todd Howard saying, "Oh, you didn't like me," and now he has a Giga Chad chin.
I gotta say, and I never thought I'd say this, but thank you, Todd.
Yeah.
Please do New Vegas, Fallout 3, and Morrowind, in Morrowind next. Honestly, if they could figure out a way to do Daggerfall,
oh jeez,
but Unreal 5,
oh jeez,
like,
I don't think the world could handle that type of generation, that random generation.
Dude, that would be the longest game to start
and download. Well, actually, no. Random generation breaks down a lot of download.
So that's the thing. Is like the download would be quick.
Yeah.
Right. But in order to generate the world, it would take forever.
Oh, you would have to cut down on your like length of vision.
You'd also have to turn the time limits off because
you go 1 frame per second.
Well, just I mean, at a certain point, like. First off, time limits, while they make sense in context, suck gameplay wise. But like Daggerfall had a dungeon length slider, which I honestly think we should bring back in stuff. It's like, give me a labyrinth, and don't, like, when you're creating a dungeon, like, unless the dungeon has to do with the story, I don't want it to be the same every time.
That was the problem with Skyrim.
I want it could just be a room, or it could be a labyrinth that's going to take me 3 days to complete.
Yeah.
Like, do that, give me a food and drink slider, and now I'm dungeon diving. I have to set up camp and like stuff like that, and I have to time my saves, and that's cool to me.
Oh, of course. And so with Bethesda, the great thing about that, and I saw somebody make this comment on social media that this, since the fact that they listened to their fans and were very successful in what they did with Sky Oblivion, this has a very good chance for Bethesda to return on their reputation of the old school awesome IPs, because obviously was it Starfield flopped, and you had ES6, which is still pending, but it became like a whisper in the wind kind of thing.
Yeah, they kind of said they're working on it, which they reiterated that they're still working on it.
But it just seemed very much like Bethesda was like not stalling for time, but literally like stalling out. Like it was sad. Like you see somebody with some of these legendary IPs that just, it seemed like they were crashing.
Yeah,
and so when they listened to their fans and they're like, you know what, let's take a chance on this, and it crushed online sales. I mean, on Steam, there's been pictures of the like active total gamers and like within 24 hours reaching over 200,000, which is insane.
One of them was me. I got that game as soon as I could, and I've barely put it down. It has become my happy place, and I will say I did mod it slightly. Number one, vanilla Oblivion carry weight sucks.
Oh, it was always terrible.
It's really bad.
I mean, I will say for any RPG, that is the one thing that I like always end up modding is carry weight every time.
And look, I understand that it's, that it adds a sense of realism and things like that, but you need to have other things around that to counteract it.
Yeah.
And if I can't purchase a cart and a donkey to carry my shit, then it's just anti-player.
Well, I can't wait for the mods for companions.
Well, that's the thing too, is so the reason I mentioned it briefly before, but people were concerned about the mods for Oblivion because Unreal Engine 5 has anti-cheat software built into it.
Oh, okay.
And because they overlaid Unreal Engine 5 graphically,
which is interesting considering it's single player, but
it's just built into the game engine.
Yeah.
So the fact that they use Unreal Engine 5 for the graphics above the creation engine, it is at the time of recording extremely difficult to make a mod that isn't just changing a value.
Yeah,
because those you could do with anti-cheat no matter what. This basically, Todd, they were nice enough to leave the console commands in. Yeah. They did say that if you use the console commands, you lose achievements. That was the second mod that came out.
Gotcha.
After the infamous one, which we'll touch on for a moment. The most infamous one was it was a dumb virtue signaling where they changed male and female to type A and type B body types, which, look, I'm not trying to make any sort of political statement here. It's a dumb change. They refer to you as he or she, or they just refer to you as your race throughout the entire game. It literally did nothing.
Yeah.
And people will be like, well, if it's not that big of a deal, it's just whatever. It's like, well, if it's not that big of a deal, why change it in the first place?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like that. The source code of the game still refers to it as male or female.
Yeah.
The characters still refer to you as he or she, or, in my case, Bosmer, because I play as a wood elf.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like, it's a dumb change.
Yeah.
So you do it, if you're gonna do it, be like Baldur's Gate. Like Baldur's Gate did it right.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say on that. Other than Nexus banned that mod for half a minute,
and they got so much backlash.
They started their competition started propping up because of it. That they were just like, whoa, hold on. No, we'll put it back, but we're gonna lock the comments because people are getting a bit sensitive,
which is insane to me. I mean, I know you don't go too far into it, just how the world is changing, but like Nexus got their start on Morrowind and Oblivion mods.
That's really what
blew them
yeah,
up.
Yeah.
And so to kind of turn on the one game that blew you up
we have come full circle in everything, right? Oblivion was the start of the stupid microtransactions with the horse armor, and Oblivion was the big explosion of Nexus mods. And now, 20 years later, Oblivion comes out again.
Yeah.
And they're charging you for horse armor and a few other things, but mainly horse armor, because they had to underline that. And they're blowing up Nexus mods again.
Yeah.
The changing the type A and type B back to male and female mod is the #1 most downloaded mod right now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's like you're not winning whatever you're trying to do here. People are clearly just want the game to be what they want the game to be.
Yeah.
Like and that's the thing. I'm not trying to fight a culture war right now. I don't want to. I just want to play my video games.
Exactly.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
But at a certain point in time, you have to understand that if you're moderating a site about mods and you're having some sort of political bias, don't be upset when people go to a different site where they do not have that political bias.
An easy fix for developers, and this might seem controversial, but an easy fix, the fact that like mods come out to change it, an easy switch would be like go into menu settings and have a flip switch. Is it gender or is it body type? Like, all right, like that's it.
Honestly,
that's it.
Honestly, I think that's a very amicable solution.
Yeah.
I don't think we should have to get to that point.
No, but if people feel the need that they want one thing versus another, or, I want my game to be this, or I don't follow this, all right, whatever. Just put a flip switch in settings, and then it makes everyone happy. You don't have to deal with it.
And that's the thing. It's like, at the end of the day, no. 99% of people do not care. If it is male or female or body type A, body type B. We don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But we do care if you're shoving something down our throat.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And one way or another. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like people just want to be left alone to play their video game.
People escape the politics in society in roles by going into a video game.
That's exactly what it is.
So, like, don't bring it into a video game.
Yeah, dude, my happy place is currently running around and punching people as a muscle wizard.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want to do.
Because even on the flip coin, like, people that struggle with their identities and all that stuff and their genders and stuff like that, like, they struggle with those things, and I get it. And so, with that, like, even so in, like, video games, just, like, people that have a lot of struggles with that stuff, of course, are going through a lot, and social media and this and that and the whole nine. They're getting attacked any other direction. Like, don't change a game.
No.
Like, just leave it to the own devices of a person that just escape the game.
Yeah, my best advice for and we'll end this conversation here.
Yeah,
because I don't want to go too far with it. But my best advice for both sides of this argument is find at least one day, if it's a bad weather week, you gotta do what you gotta do, but find at least one nice sunny day. We're entering spring now. Just go stand outside and touch grass. Just, it will help you. The sunlight, the grass, it actually will help you.
Yes.
So, like, even if you just go for a walk, or even if you just go and stand in your yard and just stare out into space, like,
I've done that many a time.
Yeah, just it will help. Just do that, and please, can we calm the fuck down? I just want to play a video game.
Yeah, I just video games.
And speaking of the video games that I want to play, I'm getting really good with these moving on things. The last game that I want to talk about this episode is one that my boss was consistently hounding me to play because we've both been talking about it.
I've also heard it from him many a times.
And it is Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
Yep.
And it is not a JRPG, but it looks like a JRPG. It walks like a JRPG, but it is not one.
But it doesn't quack like one.
It does not quack like a JRPG. It is a Western RPG made by a very small development team, who have basically taken the world by storm with this game.
Yeah.
It is a turn-based RPG that requires precise button presses, and the story and graphics and everything are absolutely incredible, phenomenal. I have this on my computer ready to play. I just haven't had time to sit down and play it. I'm very excited. Luckily I've had zero spoilers for this game. I am surprised with
the amount of content.
The amount of content and everything. I have gone and I'm constantly online because I'm either working on this or I'm doing something else. It is so surprising how cool everyone is being with this game. But this is like I said, this is their first game for a very small developer. And it has, like Oblivion, completely blown away the AAA competition.
Awesome.
It has sold well over 1 million units. It is one of the highest rated games out there currently.
Yeah, I saw some of the awards already given to it, which is ridiculous. It's only been out like a week and it's already getting awards. I was like, wow.
You know, as much as I don't like remakes or remasters getting Game of the Year, if it's not going to Oblivion, it'll probably go to this.
Yeah.
And I don't think it should go to Oblivion. Let's get that out of the way. I love Oblivion. It is my happy place currently. It's not Game of the Year.
Not only that, but it was the Game of the Year for 06. Let it be Game of the Year for 06.
Yeah. I think, granted, if they both win, if there's a category remake of the year, it totally deserves it.
I'm kind of 100%. I am of the mindset, and I've always been of the mindset that Game of the Year should go for a game that was released on that year. And,
I agree.
And was not a remake or a remaster or something like that. It had to be a new conception.
I agree. And Game of the Year needs to cut off. If the game comes out in December, it's not the Game of the Year.
Yeah.
It is the game of the next year.
100%.
We have to stagger it. Either that, or we have the Game of the Year awards the following year, like March.
It would make sense. No, I mean, it would make completely sense that like cutoff is like June 30th, right? Like it's like
I would put it in like September or October.
Well, I mean, if you're midway through the year, it's like to all these gaming companies, it's like, all right, we got to get our game out by mid-year, to be eligible for.
I think third quarter.
Okay, all right,
third quarter. Fair enough. I think third quarter is still enough time within the year to be Game of the Year. Fourth quarter is the following year.
Agreed.
I
agreed.
Because there's just not enough time. Whether it comes out or not, it's going up against like the amount of advancements that can happen within a year, technology wise, is insane.
And because you have like games like the new Call of Duty. Call of Duty always comes out in November.
It always comes out in November.
And so it's just like
never Game of the Year.
It's never Game of the Year.
Even though they win somehow.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. Agreed with you that it's only been out for, a month and a half.
Yeah.
And it somehow wins Game of the Year over games like Oblivion and Clair Obscur and stuff like that. I mean, that's all...
It's all politics.
I was going to say, that's a lot of backroom handshakes.
That's the thing. It's the same as the Oscars. Like, I don't put any stock in Game of the Year unless the Game of the Year edition is, number one, cheaper and gives me everything that the game came with.
Yeah.
In the case of Oblivion, that the Game of the Year edition of Oblivion did that.
See, speaking of which, I'm really glad that you told me that Oblivion came with Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles, so that I won't make the mistake of buying the DLC first before I buy the game again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, don't do that. No. That being said, if you spend $10 extra, you get some horse armor and new stuff for Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles. Yeah.
But for $10 extra, it's not bad.
And that's the thing. It's like I sat there. I was like, okay, so the $10 extra just adds on to everything. Okay,
you're gonna pay for this horse armor.
Those motherfuckers, they got me again, dude. I swear to God, if Elder Scrolls 6 comes out day one with $1 horse armor, I'm driving to wherever Bethesda is located, and I'm gonna find Todd Howard, and I'm going to shake his hand and punch him in the face.
I mean, so you look at like games like American Truck Simulator and all these other games that have like skins, right?
Sure, yeah.
And they'll have like these $2 packs or $3 packs of different skins. Sure. I can only imagine when ES6 comes out, it's gonna have like 43 paid DLCs of different horse armor.
Look, and here's the thing. Like, I don't mind when cosmetics cost $1.
Yeah.
I don't. I think it'd be the funniest damn thing if Elder Scrolls 6 came out day one with 10 $1 horse armors.
You know what'd be funny is if Bethesda kind of turns their thing into like Counter-Strike skins, where it just becomes horse armor.
Becomes tradable.
Yeah, tradable
like,
horse
or
armors.
Team Fortress 2, where it's just different hats. Like, yeah,
like
dude.
in your Steam item list, now you have horse armors that you could sell on the marketplace.
Okay, so listen, Bethesda, I know you're not going to hear this, but this would be the funniest goddamn thing that you could do.
And people would do it.
At this point, instead of punching you in the face, Todd, I would give you a sandwich, or what I would pay for dinner for you, and I'd be like, buy the most expensive thing.
People buy V-Bucks all the time for Fortnite skins, and they buy Robux for Roblox skins. Why not do horse armors?
I think the next Oblivion, I think the next Elder Scrolls, what do you call that? Premium currency?
Yeah.
It should just be horse armor. You just buy stuff with horse armor. I think that would be the funniest damn thing.
Or at least that their next Imperium coin has got like horse armor on it.
Yeah, no, the next coin, that's the thing, is from now on, the crowns need to have horse armor on it. Like, I think they're called crowns colloquially in Elder Scrolls universe.
Septums.
Yes, crowns is every other thing. But no, the septums on the back need to have a horse with armor on it. Just play along with the joke. I want horse armor in Brahmin armor in the next Fallout.
That would be awesome.
That'd be great.
But I mean, if they took something that was so hated and made it a joke, people would fall in love with it.
But that's the thing. It's like, at this point, it is a joke.
Yeah, make it fun of yourself. You might as well.
Just make it even funnier.
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee that's why they advertised the horse 100%. Armor for the deluxe edition of it. It was just like, oh, by the way, there's more horse armor.
Oh, you didn't want it from our creation club? We're going to make you pay for it anyway.
And because I looked at that. I looked at it. And I almost didn't buy it because I sat there. I was like, you motherfuckers, you did it again. But I was like, extra stuff for Shivering Isles, extra stuff for Knights of the Nine. I'm like, that. All right, it's bundled together.
What I hope is if they do a paid DLC for Oblivion, that they do a version of like the Hearthfire one where you could build your own.
So that's the thing, is like, because it's only in 0.4,
yeah,
I'm kind of hoping that they start incorporating that. Now, when they delivered the game, their whole purpose of the game was to keep it as close to Oblivion as possible. The only thing that they added, other than real graphics that turn them not into potato people, is a sprint button, which much needed.
And new voice lines from what you were telling me.
And new voice lines, yes.
Yeah.
But the sprint button was a much needed improvement.
It really was. That game was so slow.
And like, even when you followed the game's rules by putting your weapon away to move faster, it didn't move.
And you know, the infamous word that we now have, when you become cucumbered.
Oh, yeah.
The game stood still.
And well, that's the other thing, is that they fixed it so that you are no longer in Oblivion when you were cucumbered.
And for everyone that wants to know, that means encumbered.
Yes, over encumbered. You were carrying too much. In Oblivion, you stopped moving originally. Skyrim or Fallout, I can't remember which one, was the first one where you just moved very slowly, like you're dragging a big sack of shit behind you. But now in Oblivion Remastered, you move very slowly. Gotcha. When you are cucumbered. I like that. It is fine. However, the scarcity of shops when you're playing as a thief or in a dungeon or whatever, because you can't fast travel while cucumbered. You have to walk. And I'm just like, all right, there's been a few times where I've sat there, I'm like, it's just right over there. And, just kind of struggling with it. But then there's other times where I'm like, Jesus. All right.
Well, you have told me, I think you made mention that at least in certain areas that you expected things to be heavier, they did make some items lighter.
Yes, they did adjust the values of certain items, which is fine. And they also adjusted your max carry weight at the start, which is fine. But you still, in the first dungeon, if you pick everything up and you are not a strength build, you're still gonna. I
am a cucumber.
You are still getting pickled by the end of it. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Obviously, because
you can't have it all.
You can't have it all, and there are mods to fix that. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. Other than praising Bethesda.
Yeah, which is a interesting turn of events.
I'm happy about it, but I'm cautiously happy about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, look, full disclosure, full reality check here is I don't think that Bethesda is the same company of 20 years ago.
Oh no.
And I think Virtuous, the company that actually did the remaster.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of very talented people on that team, and I think that if they're working with Bethesda on Elder Scrolls or whatever, I think that that's fantastic. I think because Microsoft has bought Bethesda, they need to buy Virtuos. Because Microsoft is hurting really bad, game industry wise. But I think that the company itself, I don't want to say I don't have high hopes. For the Elder Scrolls 6. I'm remaining cautiously optimistic. For the game, because whether Skyrim was your first game in the series, or Oblivion has now become your second, your first game, or wherever you started with the series. If you started with Skyrim and you've gone back and played the Oblivion remaster, you're going to notice that there's more stuff in the Oblivion remaster that just they got rid of with Skyrim. And that's a long running theme with the Elder Scrolls games, where they've become more casual.
They're like peeling back.
They're peeling back. Some people consider it trimming the fat. Some people would prefer more options. For myself, I think that they should bring all of the skills that they've ever had back. I think throwing weapons should be a thing again and have a skill. I think, in Skyrim it was one-handed and two-handed were the skills, but in Oblivion it was blades and blunt and things like that. But if you go back further to Morrowind, it was like thrown weapons, blades, blunt, spears, things like that. And then there was just a lot more skills. I think keep the same amount of skills, because all that does is it adds replay value. Obviously there's more coding and things to do in the game, but you give players more ways to play. And one of the biggest things, and I think it was cut very late in development, was players of Oblivion Remastered who started with Skyrim will notice that Oblivion Remastered has a hand-to-hand skill. Skyrim doesn't have that. But there are items within Skyrim that increase your hand-to-hand ability.
Which ends up being a waste, because as soon as you get that, you're like, why do I need this? Because there's no skill around it.
Exactly. So unless you are willing to disenchant that and then enchant a full set of gear that's just hand-to-hand.
So you become a monk.
There's no reason to have that in there, which is why I think it was cut late in development. Which, happens, right? But my point is, every iteration of the Elder Scrolls since Arena, main series, Elder Scrolls, I should say, has trimmed the fat in some way. Now, Arena to Daggerfall didn't trim. It was a bit different. Arena to Daggerfall, actually, Daggerfall I think was in its nature, because it was a sequel, the biggest one.
Oh, well, I mean, map-wise, it was 100% the biggest one.
I mean, map-wise, Daggerfall, I think, is still
one of the largest
maps ever made. But I think in terms of like content and things to do, it was the biggest one. But they were able to do that because they procedurally generated the entire game.
Where my cautious optimism lies is the fact that they released this, multi-second trailer back in 2018. And you have the remaster of Oblivion, which was created with Unreal Engine 5 and the Creation Engine and all this stuff. Now, I'm guessing by that 6-second, 18-second, whatever size trailer that was, that it was Creation Engine. You could kind of tell by the graphical design of it and all that stuff that it was a new engine. But I feared that the development of that game was supposed to be created for what generation of consoles is out now versus what's coming. And so that when we actually receive the game, now this might not matter to a lot of people, but you're getting a brand new product in, say, 2025, 2026, 2027, whatever it may be.
I'm going to guess it's 2027.
But if you're taking a step back in time from this new Oblivion remaster, I feel like there's going to be a lot of like fault lies there.
Yeah.
Because this game has been in development for so many years, and to your point, peeling back on a lot of things, but just graphically and mechanically and everything, if you're taking a step backwards from Oblivion Remaster and trimming back fat, it's aiming for a flop.
And that's the thing. I think Oblivion Remaster, and I have nothing to prove this. This is all just theory at this point. I think Oblivion Remaster is a step in the right direction for Bethesda.
I agree.
And I think if, say, Elder Scrolls 6 is made in the Creation Engine, and before it releases, they graphically improve it with Unreal Engine 5, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
I think you have an easy engine to work with the Creation Engine. They've known it for years, and the way that their games are made, the Creation Engine's really the best thing that they can use for it, which is why they've used it for as long as they have. So now that they've figured out a way to layer it with another engine that can make the games gorgeous, even if that's the final touch, at that point, you're working hand in hand.
I would hope that they would look at a product that they've been developing since 2018, and by the time they get to release, look at it and be like, "There's so many more advancements that we can make."
Yeah,
that they just revamp it.
And I think, tinfoil hat time. Yeah, here slightly. I think part of the reason why they released Oblivion Remastered the way that they did, is because in some level, we've talked about it before, Bethesda's really mod friendly. Yeah. They love it. Because anybody who's played Bethesda games since Morrowind knows, or since Oblivion really, knows that every feature in, the Fallouts and Elder Scrolls games that came afterwards were mods. Yeah. 100%. Like the settlement thing was a mod. Yeah. The backpacks and survival mode, those were mods. Yep. And they hire their modders a lot of times. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of times they'll reach out to modders and be like, "This is fantastic. You want a job?" Yeah. Right. So I think part of this, the way that they released it, because Unreal Engine 5 has the anti-cheat built into it, is they're giving modders enough time to train, essentially, so that when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, they already know how to bypass the anti-cheat, and you could get good mods day one.
Well, that, and also to your point, I feel like also tinfoil hat, giving them exposure to that engine and, creation and all that stuff would allow them to develop new features for ES6.
And that's the thing, is like, I want all of the skills of Skyrim to come back. Yeah. I want some of the skills from Oblivion to come back. Yeah. Hand to hand is one of them. Yep. Mercantile, I think they combined it with Speechcraft, or they turned it into Speechcraft. There's a few skills in Oblivion that were not in Skyrim because it was fat trimming. Yeah. I want skills from
like acrobatics
and athletics. Yep. Morrowind had thrown weapons and a few other things. Like, bring all of those skills back. Yeah. Because number one, it gives you more weapon types than just swords, daggers, bows, hammers, axes, and I don't think I'm missing any.
And please, for the love of God, no level caps.
Yes. No, level caps in that game, they don't make sense.
No, because they level capped Skyrim initially. It was like 84.5. Yeah. And then when Fallout 4 came out, they had a cap. But then they took them away. Yes. And you could just make this OP-ass character. Well, and just let people do it.
And that's the thing, is like, I don't mind working my character to the point where I become a god. I think that's a lot of fun. But the biggest things that I want out of Elder Scrolls 6, and we'll see, because we may be entering into the goal. Bethesda might be back, or this might be a new Bethesda. Yeah. But we got it.
As long as it goes in the right direction, I don't care.
Exactly. And with Elder Scrolls 6, all I want out of that is I want them to keep all the skills, or bring back a bunch of skills, including climbing. Because as funny as it is to have a horse go up Jacob's ladder of a mountain where it's like a 90-degree angle, like, there's so many modern games now where you could just walk up to a wall or something and just scale it.
Yeah.
You know, bring that back. That existed in Daggerfall. It doesn't make sense that it's gone. It could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you do that, you get the acrobatic skill, whatever. But the other thing that I want, and this is personal preference, I don't want to be the hero of the story.
Yeah.
Like in Oblivion, you are not the main character.
Yeah.
You find the main character.
Yeah.
And you do things that a asset of the main character would do.
Yeah.
But the story doesn't revolve around you. Nope. Skyrim,
you're a demigod.
Well, in Skyrim, you're the main character, and you ascend to godhood essentially.
Yeah. Which is why when they put level caps on it, I was like, "Why? Yeah. I am a demigod."
Yeah. Morrowind, you technically, spoilers for Morrowind, you are technically a reincarnated god.
Yeah.
However, you start off as some guy, and you don't find out about the reincarnated god thing until well into the story.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's different.
At least there was some build up.
Yeah, like Skyrim, you find out you're the Dragonborn in what, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Like an hour? Really?
Yeah.
Like you get out of Helgen, you go to Whiterun, you fight the dragon, you're now super powerful.
You know what I would love to see out of Elder Scrolls, especially if it's a big map, is a little thing from Fable 2. The purchase of real estate.
So that's the thing. It's like, I would love that.
Yeah.
Give the speechcraft or mercantile skill, whatever you want to call it, give it more stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, because like, yeah, let's just pull from Skyrim. In like Whiterun, right? You can buy the first house.
Yeah.
It's usually the first house people buy.
Yeah.
That house. And you had other like houses here and there, and then you had the Hearthfire expansion.
Yeah.
I want to be able to just buy like a random house that I want,
or just I want to invest in your shop.
Yeah, because like when
Skyrim kind of had something like that.
So they did. They had an investment perk for the speechcraft. It was like you invested 5,000 gold, you came back 72 hours later, and then all of a sudden, like every merchant had like 11 or 12 grand or something like that. And then it had a lot more options for stuff. But with the whole real estate thing, where I'm getting that from is I have a mod for Skyrim called Alternate Start.
Yes.
And it takes me out of the whole godhood aspect where I can start like homeless in a shack, or I can start as a noble, or I can start as, like a student in a college, right? I'm part of the mage guild, and all of a sudden I come to rise. Unfortunately with that, of course, you still have like the Alduin storyline and, the Civil War and stuff like that. So it doesn't really change any of that. But if you had like real estate, it would change where your alternate start would be. Like I started in this shack, or I started in a mansion with all this money, or I started here, or I started as a shopkeeper. Like that'd be kind of a neat little thing where, because they kind of have these little gimmicky jobs, at least in Skyrim, where you can cut wood or you can do something else, which I was very happy when I'm not super happy about the anniversary edition and the fact that I had to have it to play the game. That did annoy me about Bethesda games. Like, oh, I have like this version of Skyrim in my library. To be able to play it, I now have to upgrade to the next one. It's But Anniversary Edition for Skyrim brought in fishing. I was so happy, actually, about fishing. That should be a base game fucking thing for Elder Scrolls.
It really should.
And it's almost set up like a mini game. You have to be in certain areas and whatever. That's fine with me. But like, I want to be able to take a game like Elder Scrolls, because Elder Scrolls really has it pat down to where I love the characters, I love the world, I love the lore, I love everything. But I also just want to start from nothing and be a civilian and work my way up, kind of thing. Like, I want that grind. But the way that Skyrim positioned it is, even if you work that grind, like after the first time you play the main storyline of the Alduin quest line, if you go and start a new character and now that you know what you're doing, you could beat that game in 10 hours.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want that. I want it to take a while. Yeah. But I want to do it in different ways. And that was the one thing about Fable 2. Yeah, it was the same storyline, it was the same everything. But if you started a new character, you could do it in different ways. You didn't have to buy all the real estate. You didn't have to, do things. And I just want a little bit, I want to be able to leave the quest lines and have new opportunities for me. Yeah. Like, and not have to do the quest lines. If I want to do them, I can do them. But that also adds in the fact that like Bethesda's always been really good to us with side quests and miscellaneous quests. They've always been really good to us with that.
Yeah.
So. And I hope they just add more. And I hope they fix their dungeon system from Skyrim.
Agreed.
In ES6, because their dungeon system in Skyrim was kind of shit.
Agreed.
So yeah, but anyways, with Skyrim, I hope they fix the dungeoneering system in ES6. That's all I can hope for, kind of thing. But I think for now, like, it's wishful thinking, wishful hoping. So, I mean, I feel like that touched really good base on Bethesda. We had an April round out that became a Bethesda round out.
Yeah, that definitely turned into something. But, I mean, we get distracted easily.
Yeah, and it's also just really exciting news for what happened. So.
Yeah, so, but to recap real quick, you know, we had some VTuber drama in April.
Oh, yeah. Cinders in the fire.
You know, just real bad. We had some VTuber drama. We had some, you know, really good bittersweet moments in the VTuber industry, and we had a lot of really interesting gaming things happen in April, and we're only in month 4. You know, we're about to go into month 5 of 2025. We are in the makings of a very interesting year.
You know, you had made mention that like this is either Bethesda changing or going back to old Bethesda, or might be new Bethesda. This might be the era of the Giga Howard.
One could only hope.
Yeah.
One could only hope. But I mean, even, you know, Todd Howard aside, it's just been an interesting year.
Oh yeah.
You know, the Switch is coming out in June. The Switch 2 is coming out in June. You have a company that their first game is something that most companies can only dream of.
Yeah.
You have the Giga Howard coming out.
Yeah.
You know, you have all of these VTubers and everything coming through. Like, there's so much going on this year, and we're not even a quarter of the we're a third of the way through,
which is incredible, because over the last several months we've always talked about we haven't had a good gaming year in like 10 years.
Could this be?
This might be the makings of a good gaming year.
I mean, I don't dare hope. Like, I don't want to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
But like, gaming, we've had a few like really, really amazing things happen.
Yeah.
In gaming and entertainment and things like that. But we've not had a full year of it in quite a while.
And the fact that Claire and Oblivion dropped pretty much same time,
and they're both wildly successful.
People were buying them in pairs left and right.
I was one of those people. Yeah, I bought them both, and I'm excited to play Claire Obscure. I'm very excited for it. I've heard nothing but good things, and like I said, my boss will not stop talking to me about it. It's like, have you played it? Text me when you start playing it. I want to know the minute that you're playing it. Like, okay, I'll let you know as soon as it happens. But that'll round out for April. We might do one of these again in May. Who knows? I hope May's exciting. You know, that's my month, so I hope it's exciting.
Yeah. I hope it's a good month for gaming.
Yeah, I mean, so far all I know about May is the Thunderbolts is coming out. You know, more Marvel, more cape, as some people who are sick of Marvel, more cape shit. That's pretty much all I know about May. I don't think we have any real big games coming out in May.
I don't know. We'll definitely have to look into it.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks for listening. And this is a shorter one, I think. It feels like a shorter one. So we're gonna continue on next week with something else.
Yep.
So, thanks again.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.